Now we are going to see what's meant by a tuple. You can either call it tuple or tuple, your wish. So what is a tuple? Tuple and list are quite similar in Python, but there are only subtle differences between them. Like tuple, the most main important difference between a list and a tuple is that tuple is immutable in nature. That is, you cannot change the values in a tuple once it has been assigned with some predefined values. Whereas in list, even after defining it, you can change the values. That is one of the illustration of how mutable and immutable is done. Okay, now we will see how tuple is declared with an example. So it is declared using a parenthesis VEC tuple 10,000. If I print the tuple 1, the tuple is printed. Okay, then the syntax for tuples, it's similar to list, like tuple name equal to but we have to use a parenthesis instead of square brackets. If you want a tuple with list items, you can predefine the values there itself. Then the operations performed in tuples, it's also similar. Wait, have you seen this before? Why is all the things that come in tuples are similar to the one in list? That's because there is only, as I said earlier, there are only quite a few differences in the characteristic, whereas the operations and built-in methods are almost the same in both of them. You will see by using a ideally that I will be performing in the later part of the session. So there are some inbuilt methods in tuple that is common with the list. For example, the count method that we are seeing in tuple is similar to the one that we saw in list, but the append and insert method that we saw in list will not be available in tuple. That's because we cannot change the value in tuple once it has been assigned. So the next inbuilt method is finding an index of an element. Tuple name dot index, then the value to be searched. If you type that, you can find the index of the value in a tuple. This is one of the exclusive functions that is found in tuple. There are also a number of built-in functions, but these are some of them. So you may ask the difference between the tuples and lists. So as I said, they can be considered as two faces of the same coin. That is, they only have certain differences, but they are more like just the same. To be exact, I will classify into lists in the left hand side and tuples in the right hand side and give point by point the key differences. First, lists are mutable in nature and tuples are immutable in nature. Lists are enclosed within square brackets and tuples are done using parentheses. In the list, whenever we do a change, the changes will be inflicted in the original list, whereas in tuples it's not so. It's possible to make changes, but that will be stored as a separate tuple only and not in the original tuple. There is a way like that, we can do that. Now let us see how tuple should be declared and how it executes. So tuple 1 equal to 1 comma 2. Since it's also similar to list, you can also have any data type in the tuple. So in this case, if I try to print the tuple 1, it will be giving us 1 comma 2 pro. Now some inbuilt functions and accessing of elements. Tuple 1 count of, let's say O, it will be returning it as 1. Since O is the only element that is present in the tuple, it will be giving us 1. If I try to use a list method in tuple, for example tuple1.append, it will be giving an error. Why is that? You have to remember now that tuple is immutable in nature, so you cannot use append function and insert function. So these are the subtle differences between the list and tuples in terms of function. Let me try another one. Tuple1 dot index. This will return the index of the element that I type. For example, if I type p, it will return the index 2. I have tried learn of tuple1 and it returns 5. Since there are 5 elements and this common function is present between list and tuple, and if I try max of tuple1, it returns an error. Why is that? Not that it doesn't support max function. The reason behind this error is that in my tuple there is a letter p, o, r. These strings or characters are present in the tuple. Since max can only return only return the largest value if numbers only are present in the tuple. So if I, for example, take tuple 2 and I declare only numbers as input for tuple 2, and if I try max function for this tuple, this will execute without error, since there are no strings or characters associated with this tuple 2, whereas in tuple 1 there were some characters, and so the max function gave an error. Now let me try another tuple, tuple 3 equal to VEC, say Rahul, then CSE, EC, and you can give n number of characters. I'm going to stop at mech. Then max of tuple 3 will give VEC. Why is now it's returning? That's because there's only character or string available in the tuple and not numbers. So what's the conclusion? There should not be a tuple with a mixed combination of numbers and characters. If that's the case, the max function will not work. Whereas if there is only one data type, for example only integers, only character present in tuple, then the max and min function work. Even the sorted function appears to be working with tuples also. Here the strings are sorted in ascending order based on the precedence of each and every letter, similar to the ones arranged in dictionaries. Now let us see the difference between lists and tuples in terms of practical example. So let me declare the list using list variable equal to open square brackets, a couple of elements, a combination of integers and strings, so that we can do a lot of operations in that. So this for list, and let me declare a tuple now. So notice the first difference, that list use the square brackets. Now I will be declaring a tuple. So the name of the tuple variable is tuples. So I am using parentheses now, and a couple of more elements in tuples 2. EVC709 EC and one more string. It's up to your choice. So I terminate these tuples with parentheses. Now we will see the mutability difference that I have been speaking for so long. So I am trying to change the list element at 0th index to hello, say everyone, hello everyone. So I am trying to change the 1 to hello everyone. So if I try to print the list, the 1 will be replaced by hello everyone in the list. That is, in the 0th index, the 1 element is replaced by the hello everyone that I have done now, and the change is implemented in the original list. Whereas if I try to do so in the tuples, in the same way, tuples of 0 equal to, that indicates the first index, what, like for example computer, it throws an error. This indicates that tuples are immutable in nature. This proves the second difference between list and a tuple. So we can see that whenever we do some changes, that will be stored in the original variable in case of list, whereas in tuples it's not possible to do that. But there are some ways to implement the changes, but that will not be stored in the original variable. That there is a possibility of making the changes in terms of duplicate variable, that I am not covering in this section now. We will be covering in some advanced concepts later. I hope everyone understood this concept, and I request you all to attend the MCQ questions that will be available in the website. And once again, I thank you all for this opportunity.